Hi, it's Alistair McIntyre at Electric Scotland. I'm doing this little video about two rather large organisations. One is PayPal and the other is Google. I'm just a bit upset about both these organisations, and I thought I would just put my thoughts to you, and obviously it'd be quite nice to get some feedback. If I start with PayPal, I've got problems with PayPal right now. I've had an account with them for about 14 years. And right now I have an old debit card from them that I use. Basically because I'm an American company, I needed a debit card basically to pay my bills in America. And that made it easy to do accountancy, my accountant's work and my tax returns and stuff. Well, they just sent me a new card just about a month ago, which is, it used to have Alistair McIntyre to Electric Scotland USA LLC on the card, but this new card is just Alistair McIntyre. And basically, having got the card, I tried to activate it, but they apparently say that they can't activate it. Up to now, they've always asked for ID, and I've always given them an employer's insurance number, an EIN, and that's always been sufficient. But this new card, they now say they can't take an EIN number, although when you go to them, they ask you if you've got an EIN number, and I give them it, but they say, sorry, we can't activate the card because you don't have an SSN number or ITN number. And the problem really is, over the last two card renewals prior to this one, I've always had a problem getting my card activated. And I've had to go to the supervisor level, and basically some supervisors can help, others just don't know what to do, and they give you a runaround. So I've had this same problem this time round, only this time I can't find a supervisor that will actually activate my card. And frankly, I'm a bit puzzled, because from what I understand from my accountant is there's been no change in the laws regarding having an EIN number as opposed to an SSN number. So, I mean, I can still use my PayPal account, but I can't use it as a debit card, essentially, which is a bit of a pain. So, I wrote to them, and basically they actually said, no, sorry, we can no longer accept your EIN number, although with my old card, I'm still able to do transactions. And I just question that, because if it's illegal now to have an EIN number as your identification, why are they still allowing that debit card to be used? There's just something not right here. I've always found PayPal to be unresponsive to ideas of doing a better job in reports. I mean, for example, when I get my annual statement, I take a data dump, and in that data dump, there's always umpteen transactions that have been held, temporarily of course, and usually by the next day it's released and it's okay, but all these little holds and everything like that make it very difficult to actually produce your accounts from that. And I suggest they might do a report where they get rid of these admin entries, so that when I get my report I know everything's an actual transaction. The other thing that's a bit of a problem is that because some of my income comes in Great British pounds, or Canadian dollars for that matter, as well as US dollars, they always report on there's always a transaction where they record the fact that you've received money in Great British pounds, and then later, a few entries after that, they've done an adjustment to convert that to dollars. And frankly, all of that just makes it very, very difficult to actually audit your accounts for the accountant. So my plea to PayPal is, top brass, get your act together. If you've got a policy, then all of your supervisors should have the same policy. The fact is they simply don't. I mean, one supervisor this time round said, I've done the change, but it's not accepting it. So I've reported it, and you should be okay by the end of the week. Another supervisor said they also had tried to implement my EIN number, but for some reason it wasn't being accepted. They thought there was a bug in the program and that they reported it. Then, of course, another supervisor says, well, if you can't give us an SSN or ITN number, then we can't activate your card. But, if that's the case, then all supervisors should be telling me that. But they're just simply not. So what is the truth? I don't know. And, of course, unfortunately, the management of PayPal obviously don't know. And so it's very frustrating when you've got inconsistency, even when you go to supervisor level. So that's my bit of a rant at PayPal. But, if you can't accept an EIN number, how do you see America going forward as an international destination for international business? I mean, they say not everyone wants to be an American citizen, but there's a lot of companies out there in the world that want to do business in America and will create American companies and employ people and do all kinds of things. But by not accepting an EIN number, you're basically saying to all these companies, don't bother coming to America, we can't do business with you. It's just mind-blowingly stupid in my point of view. And so, from PayPal, all I'm saying is, you're getting very stupid and pathetic, and it's time your management got together and had a policy about this and make sure it's consistent throughout the company. So that's my rant about PayPal. Secondly, my rant about Google is that I'm finding their search engine is actually pretty pathetic, especially if you want to do research. I mean by this that they have a policy of obviously putting you to the top sites for your search term. The trouble is a lot of these top sites for your search term actually give you very little information. And if you're wanting to do research, you need to find those companies that can provide you with a lot of detail, which yes means that you need to read and study, but that's what researchers do. But frankly, I'm looking up a whole, I use Google every day, but I'm getting to the point where I'm not using it as much. The problem being is that competing search engines also try to do what Google does. And frankly, it's a waste of time. What they should be doing is saying, where's the best information available, and where there's a lot of information available, make those the primary links. I mean, I think Google's lost the plot. I mean, for example, doing research, one of my little research projects lately was about a frozen meal company that if you don't want to cook, just do a microwave meal. They'll send you a whole range of meals you can put in your freezer, then just in the microwave, boom, done. And I was researching that in Canada. And doing my research in Canada, I found a reference to the fact that they had a UK operation. So I thought, that's interesting. So I went to see what the UK operation was. One of the things I found in the UK was they actually do bigger packs. Because, a lot of these frozen meals are small packs. But, it's like, was it the Hungry Man, which is trying to give you a bigger meal? So I thought that was interesting. Anyway, but obviously you cannot order food for to be delivered to Canada from the UK, just not on. So I cannot, even though I wanted to, I can't buy products in the UK. Yeah, after doing that research, Google kept serving me adverts for that UK company that I could do nothing with at all. And it appeared on websites for literally months. I was really fed up about that. And then, of course, you've got things like Trend Micro, which I use as my antivirus program. I got an email in telling me that my annual renewal was due, so I went and renewed renewed my annual contract with them. After that, I got tons of adverts for Trend. I'd already bought the product, for Pete's sake, so that advert was a total waste of time. And yet again, for weeks afterwards, I would get Trend adverts all over the place. But as I say, I mean, so that's really stupid, and I mean, Google need to do something about that, in my view. I don't know what they can do, but they should do something. And as I say, you get this thing about, they send you lots of publisher panel surveys, but they've obviously got preconceived notions about what they should do and what they shouldn't do. And you don't really get a chance to type in a proper reply to something or comment properly on something. It's always tick a box, tick a box, tick a box. I mean, that's pretty useless, to be honest with you. But as I say, it's just the fact that their search engine is not giving me the kind of data I want. I've gone 100 pages of links to try to find information. And all I'm finding, I'm finding that, for example, on my website, quite often I've got far more information than the first 100 links that they're offering me. I've actually got more information than any of the top 100 links that they've offered me on their search results. I mean, that's just ridiculous. And I'm not even included in those 100 links, which just goes to show that Google are not doing a good job. So, my plea to them is wake up, or my plea to someone out there in the world is make a better search engine that actually goes after the content you want, not the popularity of the sites that has something to do with your search term. And perhaps your search engine could then become one that people genuinely want to use, especially researchers like myself. I mean, for example, I've just ditched my customized Google site search engine on my web page. Now, I will say I was very pleased to have that. It's a great facility. But what I found is they might say we found 14,000 links for this term. 14,000, that's an awful lot. But in actual fact, they'll offer you 10 pages of links, like 100 links. And when you get to the 10th page, you get no others. In other words, you cannot get to those thousands of links that they say they've discovered. I'm now using a customized one. This is from FreeFind, but I pay for the service. And now it will just search my websites. But if it says you've got 140 links, you can actually go to all of those 140. If you get 1,100 links, you can actually go to all these 1,100 links. So you're not restricted to the top 100 with this new search engine I put on the site. And I must confess, I like it very much. Sometimes it's a wee bit slow to come back with the results. I think that depends on the server load and stuff like that. But frankly, it's really, really good, and I'm delighted with it. So I've stopped using Google, and I'm now using this FreeFind section. They actually spider my site once a week. They do it every Thursday. So normally, at least by the Friday, it's up to date. So anything added, up to that point is included in the Friday results. But as I say, I think we need to stop. I mean, when Google first came out, I was one of the very early adopters of Google, and I suggested it to my big client base at the time. And everyone was delighted, and I got lots of emails thanking me for pointing out Google. So I was one of those ones that actually benefited Google and helped Google become as good as they've become. But as I say, I have to say that I think they're just letting down people. But there again, there's not that many researchers around the place that need to get really good information, and a lot of it. So clearly they're not interested in us as a body, because all they want to do is send you to the popular site. I mean, most searchers, they'll recommend you to Wiki. But quite often Wiki hasn't got that much information on what you're looking for. I mean, they're very good, don't get me wrong. Wiki's very, very good, but they don't always give you all the information you're after. But as I say, some of the other ones, I mean, they might give you a paragraph of what you're looking for. When I'm looking for a book, or something like that, a book's worth of information. So I want to do some serious research, but I just simply can't do it on Google because they won't give me the links to their sites that have got decent information. So I think we've got to start re-looking at Google again and thinking to ourselves, well, is there a better search engine out there? I've yet to find one. But if you're looking for Scottish information and you use my website and my new site search engine with FreeFind, you will find everything to do with that search term. So, if you're into Scottish stuff, use my website. You'll get a much better result than you will with Google. And of course with my FreeFind, there's no sponsored advert or links at the top, because that's another thing that Google did, and you accept that because they're giving you a free service. So I've no complaint, but usually the first 5 or 6 links were to sites that weren't to do with me, and often those links were nothing to do with what you really wanted to find anyway, so they were pretty irrelevant on the whole. So either Google needs to up its game, and I will say that I've got a very old site and they consistently challenge me and said, you need to make your site mobile friendly. Well, if they're willing to pay me money or do the work for me to convert my site to mobile friendly, I'll accept their offer. But no, they just complain. I'm the one that's got to spend 2 years of my life converting my site and lots of money, and I simply don't have the time and I don't have the money to do it. So my site will never be mobile friendly. End of story. But if you have a mobile device, you can still get to my site and you can still read the information. Although again, if you're a researcher, you're better off researching on at least a tablet or a desktop machine, because on a wee mobile device, I mean, I would be a bit challenged to do some decent research on a mobile, to be honest with you. But nevertheless, you can read the content from a mobile phone. So, and my understanding is that if you're not mobile friendly, then Google's putting you down the list as far as indexing your site goes, which is why, although I've got 800 children's stories, certainly I've done 200 links, my 800 children's stories not even mentioned once on any of the first 200 links they offer. In the old days, I was always on the first page for children's stories, and I still have a ton of great children's stories, and I do add to that. But despite all that, you'll never find my children's stories on Google, that's for sure. So I think there's something fundamentally wrong with Google, and I think they need to either up their game, or we need good competition coming out for a new search engine on the web, especially for researchers. So anyway, there you go. There's my kind of, I suppose you might call it a bit of a rant, but certainly I think PayPal and Google both need to look very closely at what they're doing, and frankly I think it's time that PayPal got some decent competition, but there doesn't seem to be any real competition out there for PayPal. Don't know why, but certainly if you've tried it, I think it's failed. And as I say, I think Google needs some decent competition as well to make them up their game. So there you go, there's my little rant. Hope it maybe rings bells, and I hope maybe you'll, as I say, if you know of a better search engine, let me know, and let's see what we can do, if anything. But certainly I'm upset about PayPal. I think their management's poor, and I might just add as an extra on this that if you've got a Comcast account or a Verizon account, these big telecom companies, huge, I mean, their management must be losing hundreds of millions of dollars every year in just bad management. I mean, it's like Comcast. The salespeople said, if you give us an extra, I think it's 20 a month, we could up your bandwidth to X. I said, well, that sounds very good. I'll take the deal. But then so they implemented that. I checked about a week later, and there was no difference to the bandwidth at all. None. So I phoned the tech people up and said, excuse me, but I took out this new deal to get bandwidth to such and such, and I'm not getting it. So there must be a problem. And they said, it's the sales department. They shouldn't have sold you that plan because we physically cannot deliver it. We don't have the fiber at your place of business. and we don't have the routers or anything. And he said, you need that to give you that kind of speed, and we simply haven't got it at your point. So he said, you should go back and get your $20 back, which I did. But you know, the fact they can sell you something they can't physically deliver is criminal. Really criminal. And I think we need to start looking at these big companies, because I think the CEOs of these big companies certainly need looking at. It's time some of them were actually put in prison, not just fined. And look at Volkswagen. I mean, Volkswagen still advertise all over the television, but they're proven criminals. So the advertising standards people say, oh yeah, they're criminals, but let's let them advertise on television. It's perfectly okay, no problem, we've got good standards here. We'll always allow crooks to advertise on television. I mean, I don't know where the sense is coming these days, but anyway. I meant this really just to be a bit of a play on PayPal and Google, but I've drifted off topic a little bit. Anyway, there was my thoughts. So I don't know if it makes any difference to you guys, but I thought I'd just make it more visible. Thanks for listening.